Hello, everyone. It's good to have you making another trek down the road with us. Interesting crew we have lined up for you today. North Dakota's very own Dave St. Peter is going to join us. Dave is the president of the Minnesota Twins. This is a man who grew up in Bismarck, went to the University of North Dakota, went down and did every job he could with the Twins because he has a love of baseball and just slowly made his way to the very top. And so he's going to take some time and visit with us today. There's a fight that happened in the Fargo school system. The Fargo School Board censured one of its members. And so the rule was you got to wear a mask. Jennifer Benson said, I'm not going to wear a mask. Well, the rest of the school board, who was wearing masks when they were supposed to, said, you're going to. They can't make her. She's an elected member of that school board. They can't kick her out. She's an elected member of that school board, but they used the power they could to censure her. And so that was part of what all took place. We're also going to visit with Rebecca Knutson about that. She's chairman of the Fargo School District. Daryl Ritchison's going to join us. Now, Daryl is one of the top meteorologists that I've ever met, and I think that you're ever going to meet as well. So we're going to talk to him about what's going on with this weather pattern when we have as much rain as what we had in the middle of this state and in our end, which is, you know, for you folks living out west, we got hit really hard here in eastern North Dakota in terms of wind. Well, it's an issue. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we asked Jodi Bullinger to come on with us. Jodi is the Vice President of Engineering and Operations with Cass County Electric. And if you want to talk about why every now and then you could get gray hair or maybe want to rip it out, Jodi's got the answer for that. Jodi, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joel.
It wasn't a good night the other night?
It wasn't. You know, when I seen that storm system come through, usually we can handle some lightning and stuff, but that wind really did a number in that Kindred Walcott area.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got grain bins flying through the air. Something's going to hit.
Yeah, that's not something we design or plan for.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. So, were there tornadoes? I know that there were straight line winds. You know, there's always talk about whether or not there were tornadoes. What have you heard?
You know, I've heard that there might have been one down by that Kindred Warner where those grain beds went through, but nothing confirmed. So
let's begin with before the storm, okay, Jodi? You say you can't design for that. If you talk to a lot of linemen and women, people that are out there getting things done out in the field on a daily basis, they'll tell you through the years that you guys have gotten so much stronger. And by stronger, I mean able to sustain some of what nature brings you. You know, I call it my digital light. You know, my alarm clock. You don't see that blinking that much anymore compared to when I was young. So you guys are doing something right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't design for a grain bin falling through our line, but but for normal normal storms, maybe some lightning, we might get a few random outages because of lightning hits. But for the strong winds that blow trees into our line, that blow things that are, yards away from our line, that's hard to predict where that's going to come into play. But yeah, we've done a lot of maintenance over the years. We've strengthened our lines, we've strengthened our poles. We do above and beyond what's required in terms of the National Electric Safety Code. So we try to make sure we maintain that so we have the good reliability.
See, that tells me you got your engineering degree at the University of North Dakota.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well educated,
Yeah.
Absolutely well educated. So you are the Vice President of Engineering and Operations, which is a nice way of saying you make sure things run.
Yeah, like my kids say when they were in elementary school, they ask, what does your mom do? And she keeps the lights on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my job.
And
really.
when it isn't happening, what's causing it.
Oh, yeah,
right?
That's exactly it.
So the connection between you and your staff, the staff that's out there, at a time like this, I think people see them, working from the field trucks and they don't realize everything that's happening back in the office. I think I'm guilty of that at times. Describe to people how you respond to an emergency.
So, when the outages came, myself and my manager of engineering, Troy Knutson, we went into the office at whatever that was, 11 o'clock at night, 10:30, 11, and our control center is run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they actually knew of the problems right away because we have remote monitoring, which is called a SCADA system. So as soon as those alarms started coming in, we do a call out to all the line crew, and they all come in and they start reporting, and we dispatch right from our 24-hour a day, or 24-hour a day, 7-day a week control center. So, you know, we're looking to see where the problems lie. Obviously, we had some problems with transmission. There was a lot of transmission line down as well. So we lost some power to our substations. So until you have power to the substations, you can't have power to our line. So we worked with our power supplier on that, and they dispatched crews as well that came down that late that day after the storm started going on.
So we just saw, you know, some of that damage, some of the poles down.
Yep.
I don't know how, I mean, when you're out at night, is it more about just observing what you have to do during the day? Because it would seem to me the men and women that you have out there doing this, they're not going to be able to do that at night.
Well, they have. You know, what they do is they try to clear as many obstacles or clear as many trees or anything that they can get people on as quickly as they can. So, you know, we had a big outage down in South Fargo that affected, you know, around 700 people at the time due to a lightning strike at a substation. So our crews went down there, made sure everything was clear. So they were on within a couple hours. You know, some of the other areas, they will go and they'll patrol the line and find a small thing, and they'll fix that right away so we can get more people on as quickly as they can. And then we'll go back to those areas where we had 8 poles down in a row. And we have power to everyone. Those poles are still down, but we were able to cut in a set of bells and get power to some people, and then, in some instances, open in another area and backfeed from other sources. So
see, that's a term that I want to make sure people understand, the backfeeding, because that falls right in your wheelhouse. The engineering of how, if this is down, you know, this is another way. Describe that to people.
So what happens when we use the term backfeed, what we mean is just rerouting the power from a different direction. If we have that ability to do that, we'll look at to make sure that where we're coming from, everything is the load that we're adding on to can handle it. So we're not disrupting other people that have had power. So
that to me is. My guess is in the old days, you know, I'm older than you by quite a bit, so in the old days, I'm not sure that you would have been able to do that. You know, that it's all about design, not to mention the fact that electronically now, I mean, if you're one of my guys that worked on the old RSR before it became Dakota Valley Electric, there's no way you would have known without just driving the line and shining the lights. I mean, you wouldn't have known.
You know, now we have monitoring at all of our substations, all 41, you know, rural area, urban area included, and we're able to monitor what the load is out there. And we also know when the power goes out before we even get that first call. Before, we'd have to wait for the first call before we knew there was even an outage. But now we know when there's a power outage. The other thing that we have in there is that when the power goes out and we restore it, especially in a storm situation, sometimes not everybody comes back on. And before, we had to wait for people to call back in. Now we go and what we call pinging the meter, which means we send out just a signal out there to just check to see if that meter has power. And if it doesn't, then we're able to keep the crews going and restoring power without having to send them back in and call them back out again.
So rate this one. How bad was this one?
You know, it was a 24-hour day event. We have probably, you know, some cleanup to do.
It was bad for them.
Yeah, it was bad for the members that were out of power, but it was very small area.
So we're talking Kindred, Walcott.
You know, Litchfield, out by Litchfield, we had some lightning and some poles go down too.
I can tell you what not to do, Jodi, and this is good, solid advice. If you're ever a host on talk radio and your buddy texts you during the show and he's out of power yet, north of Abercrombie, and he says, look, the power isn't on here yet, but the guys are out here working hard. Don't say on the radio that maybe you didn't pay your bill. He didn't find that as funny as I thought he would find it. But, you know, the guys that are out there that are working, do they get help from other co-ops? I know at times you have partnerships, do you not?
We do, and you know, for this incident, we didn't need it because we had enough personnel, And it was such a smaller area, you just have too many people in an area trying to restore power. And by the time you get another co-op there, we had power back to everybody by, last evening. So within 24 hours of the first outage, we've had everyone back on.
So what's the danger time when you're the engineer for a co-op as big as Cass County Electric is, that has as many members? I mean, you have a lot of members.
We do.
Southern Fargo, people think of that, they don't realize that's being served by Cass County Electric. When you have something that big, what's that time of year that you're like, I mean, is it during the sleet storms? Is there a certain time where it's like, I better not head to the lake?
Not really. We have a pretty resilient system. I mean, like I said, these events, they happen. We have windstorms in the summer. We do have more outages in the summer, mainly because of lightning, thunder, windstorms. But we have a pretty resilient system. The area in South Fargo, that is primarily underground. In some of our rural area is underground as well, but we also have, almost 60,000 poles out there and, 3,000 miles of overhead. So that is something that, we still maintain. I really don't think I would consider any danger time. Of course, we watch the weather. When we see sleet storm sun coming through, we're like, okay,
cross your fingers.
Where is that coming? Is there going to be wind with it? When we see this thunderstorm, I look at it, well, is there going to be wind? If there's not a lot of wind, we pretty much weather it pretty well.
In the seconds we have left, and they did a great job getting the power back on. They worked so hard. In the seconds we have left, I want to make sure I give you the opportunity to tell farmers about how to stay away from the power lines.
Well, we had a couple of those incidents, and we do a lot of public outreach. Stay away from lines. I mean, that is the main thing, because you do not know if it's energized or not. I mean, the line can come down and it still can be energized, or one of the phases can be energized. So wait till we get there. Call 911 if you need to. But if you're trapped in your vehicle, stay in your vehicle and make sure you call your utility, and we'll help out too. No matter what utility it is, we'll still help out.
Well, make sure you tell everyone, and I'm not just talking about those people in the field, yourself included. Thank you. The deep freeze didn't go soft. The meat stayed froze because of the job you did. So.
Right. Well, that's to the job of our line crews out there. I mean, they went out at 10 and they worked all night long, most of the day, the next day, and we had crews working all the way till 10 o'clock. Past 10 o'clock last night to make sure everybody had power on before they went home.
Well, great job. Yeah. Great job.
Thanks.
When we come back, Dave St. Peter, that Dave St. Peter, the man that runs the Minnesota Twins, right here as we continue going down the road.
Howdy folks, it's a Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit BuyNightHero.com. That's BuyNightHero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
In a little while, I hope we're going to be joined by Dave St. Peter. He never forgets from where he's from, and I like that about Dave. I really do. He knows he's got North Dakota roots. He knows where the service area, I'm still back in the rural electric mode, but the people that love the Minnesota Twins are. And so we hope to tie in with him in a little bit. Rebecca Knutson, you're going to hear from her. I want you to put yourself in her place. It's COVID world in a school system, which is one of the largest public school systems in the state. It's a COVID world, and you've got teachers who rightfully are very worried about COVID and contact with COVID. You've got students who, I have no doubt didn't want to wear their masks, didn't want to do what the school system put in place in terms of policy. You've got a lot of those things going on. So when you hear from Rebecca Knutson, when you're able to see what she's gone through in the last year, what I call the COVID year, I hope you look at it with an eye towards, wow, those local school board members are individuals that do a lot, and they're not thanked nearly enough. I always said back in my time in the state Senate, I always said that the two, well, I should put three toughest jobs, but the toughest elected jobs out there are county commission, local school board, and local township board. Sometimes the township board isn't all that hard. It isn't. The guys around the township know why the road isn't gravelled the way they want, but you still get a lot of complaining. But that local school board, that's a hard job. That's a really hard job because people are so passionate about their kids. I mean, they are. And so keep that in mind when we visit with Rebecca Knutson in a little bit, because Rebecca, has one of the toughest jobs in the world. Let me describe to you the man we're about to visit with. Went to Bismarck. Through the Bismarck school system, went on to the University of North Dakota, then went on and worked his way up. And by up, I mean just that. Believed in baseball and the passion for baseball so strong that he worked his way up, and the Minnesota Twins organization said, this is the guy. This is the guy we want to run it. So our very own Minnesota Twins are headed by its president, North Dakota native Dave St. Peter. Dave, good to have you going down the road with us.
Hey, Joel, good to see you today, my friend. I hope you're well.
I didn't say all that because I want free tickets. I just want you to know that in advance.
Well, you don't need to say that. KFGO's got plenty of tickets, right? You don't need tickets, but it's always to be good to be with you and your listeners today.
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about how hard it can be to run a baseball team during a COVID world, because here's the thing. Last year they told you could play ball, but your boys had to be tested all the time, and you couldn't have fans. Not playing baseball without fans is it's like not going to the lake and having swim trunks. I don't know how you do it. And so what was last season?
Well, I would take a step back and just say that, the last, 2020 was a horrible year on so many different levels for so many different reasons. But, you know, the tragedy that we all dealt with the loss of life, many of us lost loved ones. I think what we saw relative to the various small businesses and medium-sized businesses and people that were so negatively impacted by, a worldwide pandemic. So I think you start with kind of that baseline. Clearly, live sports and entertainment, those industries were significantly impacted. They're a little less important when you think about the order of magnitude in terms of the loss of life and jobs and such, but they are important. I do think that one of the things that I look back on proudly in 2020 is we were able to return to play, and whereas we couldn't do what we do best, which is bring community together at Target Field, we did play baseball, and despite the fact that we had no fans, we played good baseball. We won a division title and obviously had a lot of excitement happen on the diamond in 2020. Fast forward to 2021, the good news now is we're playing with fans. The bad news is we've got off to a really challenging start. So we have to be accountable for that. We have high expectations as an organization, and we know what our fans want. They want to see the Twins playing. They want to see the Twins winning, and we've got to figure out ways to get back into the win column more often than not, and that's certainly it's on my mind here today.
Well, there is another circumstance that had to be a challenge to deal with, Dave, and that's the fact that downtown Minneapolis was an explosion. What happened with George Floyd, what happened with some of the discussions there, that wasn't anything to do with the Minnesota Twins, but that's where you play ball. You play ball in downtown Minneapolis, and a lot of the people that are watching you right now get into that pickup. They get into that car, and they head to see you guys. So the question is this: if they go to downtown Minneapolis, are they in a safe environment?
Yeah, well, I would unequivocally say the answer to that is yes. We wouldn't be playing baseball downtown if we didn't think our fans were safe, Joel. I understand the question and the nature of it. I do. We have spent a tremendous amount of time working with local law enforcement, working with the downtown council, downtown improvement district, as well as other business leaders in downtown Minneapolis. And, from a Twins perspective, we're in some ways leading the way. Most of the major downtown employers have not returned their people to downtown. So you don't have that critical mass that every vibrant downtown community relies upon. However, we are returning. Last night we had 18,000 fans at Target Field. Tonight I'm hoping we'll have 20. Over the weekend I expect we'll have 25,000. And we survey those fans, and they're telling us that once they're in the ballpark, once they're coming in and out of the ballpark, that they do feel safe, Joel. I recognize that there's a narrative and a perception and some real challenges that our city continues to deal with. But around Twins baseball, the times of day that we're playing, coming in and out of downtown, to ball games, we believe that we not only have done it safely, but we will continue to do it safely and do everything we can do within our power to ensure that our fans feel that way.
By now, at this point in the season, you know my family and you know my friends. I've had a number of them go there, and they would agree with you 100%. It was fun, which is what baseball's all, it's supposed to be about fun, Dave.
Yeah, there's a pent-up demand, whether it be a Red Hawks game or a Bison game or a Legion baseball game in your own community, to coming down to go to a ball game at Target Field or across the river over at CHS Field and watch our AAA club play. We know people have a desire to get back to events. Not everybody's there, but a growing number of people are there. And, and we're proud of the fact that we've been able to do some things at Target Field that I think improve our game day experience, ensure that it is a safe place to come from a COVID perspective. And we know it's absolutely critical to the success of downtown Minneapolis. The bars, the restaurants around our ballpark are back open. Employees are back working. And slowly but surely, we're building up that base that's so critical to a vibrant downtown.
You said it's been a challenging year. I think that's fair. A lot of us had high hopes, and they're not there yet. But, playing better baseball, this is baseball. It's a 162-game season. Yeah. And I saw, I heard Byron Buxton hit a triple last night in St. Paul. So I want, you and I both want to see him hitting that triple at Target Field. So where are we at with the Twins as a whole?
Well, we're starting to get healthy, which I am optimistic about. Byron, you mentioned him. He's over on a rehab assignment with the Saints. Kenta Maeda will pitch tonight. over in St. Paul. Max Kepler, Louis Arise, both will be on rehab assignments in St. Paul this week. So I'm optimistic all 4 of those guys are tracking towards rejoining the big league club, hopefully by the end of this week, certainly when we start this road trip. We're playing the Yankees and the Astros this week. These are both good teams. We have certainly in our roster the talent to compete with these teams. And, we just have not played enough good, fundamentally sound baseball. We saw it again last night. And there's no excuses. People don't feel bad for us. We have to go out and get it done and execute. We haven't done that so far this year. And we've dug ourselves a hole. And, that puts us in a situation where we're starting to think about kind of where we fit relative to the pennant race and ultimately the trade deadline and other decisions that are going to need to be made here. But I have high confidence in the baseball leadership. Derek Falvey has demonstrated since he came to us 5 years ago, the ability to be creative, the ability to be progressive, and to put the Twins more often than not in a spot where we're competing at a really high level. And therefore, as I look to the future, the balance of this year and going into 2022, I do so with a lot of excitement to see how we can continue to evolve our roster, all with a focus on how we can get better.
Well, and the one thing I would add is Falvey and the rest of your team know what it's like to run a team in a small market. They do. They know what it's like to not have the biggest budget and yet still produce someone as last year won a division. I want to ask you this in terms of the Twins as a whole. The product being there for fans, for everything you can do. I mean, the stadium, you can be full now, Dave, right?
Yeah, we can be, per the state of Minnesota. We're actually limiting ourselves to 80% as a bit of a slower ramp up. Some of that is based on COVID. A lot of it is based on really our continued challenge around the concessions operation, getting enough people to work our games at a full house. That continues to be a challenge in terms of the labor market.
Yeah.
But Joel, to answer your question, we're basically at a full capacity. There's no more distance seating. There's no more masks. It's a very normal environment as you come back into Target Field, and I think it feels good for a lot of our fans.
One other thing I'll add, Dave, before I'll let you go, which is the Twins don't forget from where they come. I mean, you see it in your winter caravan. You see it in things like this. The fact that the people on Beck News get a chance to hear from and see the president of the Minnesota Twins. You know where your Twins fans are. And one more compliment. I think that matters a lot, Dave.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think it's important. It was that way when I joined the Twins back in 1990, and certainly as somebody who grew up in North Dakota and followed the Twins, it's been important to me to try to carry that tradition on from a leadership perspective. So, we're not just the Minneapolis Twins or the St. Paul Twins or the Twin Cities Twins. We're the Minnesota Twins. In many ways, we're the Upper Midwest Twins. So, those connections to our fans, in every way we can make them, are vitally important and something we're going to continue to invest time and money in.
Well, go Twins. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for your time.
Be well, Joe. Good to see you.
You bet. Dave St. Peter, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, Rebecca Knutson from the Fargo School Board right after this.
Hey, everybody. I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com. Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not 1, not 2, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues. Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third
news.
term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
Welcome back to Down the Road. I've known Rebecca Knutson for quite some time and respected her work for quite some time and dedication to the community. She is the president of the Fargo School Board. Let's get a chance to visit with her. Rebecca, welcome to Down the Road.
Hi, Joel. Thank you very much.
Well, tough decisions. Last night's board meeting, Jennifer Benson, you put a policy in place where people that are around the Fargo school system have to wear a mask. And I know that there was another vote as to whether that should continue. It was a close vote, but the school board said it will continue to the end of the school year. Jennifer Benson refused to adhere to that. You censured her last night. Describe to people what happened.
Well, I want to also let people know what censure means because I've received a lot of questions about that. And it can mean something different, I suppose, from organization to organization. For the school board, what it means is an official motion and a vote was taken where, since it passed, the majority decided we don't agree with the actions that Jennifer Benson has been taking regarding the mitigation, showing her mitigation support or not support. And in this case, it's been not supporting the full mitigation plan, you know, that the students and the staff have been having to work with for the entire school year. So censure in this case means we don't agree with her actions as a majority. It means that she still has all of the rights that every other board member has. It doesn't exclude her from any further conversations or from voting. It certainly doesn't remove her from the board. There's only one way that a person can be removed from the board, and that's a public election. So it just basically says we don't agree with her actions.
So this has happened before with Ms. Benson. Describe to people the last time that the board voted to censure her.
Right, and that was about a year ago or within a year ago, and that really centered around some statements that she made on some monitoring documents that have to do with policies. The school board, on a regular basis, we monitor a lot of policies throughout the school year. And just to simplify things, though, there were some comments that were made that the school board did not agree with. They were very critical comments regarding some actions that she felt administration took or did not take, and we said we didn't agree with those comments.
So you yourself voted to continue the mask policy. The world seems to have gone beyond that. I know in my workplace we had a mask policy, and once we reached a point where everyone had the vaccine available to them and the time period lapsed that it required before people said, look, it's kicked in, then we said go ahead and take the masks off. Why not the Fargo public school system?
Well, we have had a couple of votes, like you said, regarding this. Earlier on, we did make a decision to decide that we would continue the entire plan of our Smart Restart plan for mitigation procedures through the end of the school year. And what happened really is, I think what drove the most recent vote on it, when we just had a few days of school left, was the city of Fargo made some changes to open up city buildings and not require masking. And I think that, that helped push the conversation a little bit for us to say, should we also make changes too within the Fargo School District? Really though, and yes, I was part of the majority that decided to continue with masking until the end of the school year. At a high level, from the U.S. Department even of Education level, the advice is that schools, even though it's changing in other ways in our community in terms of masking and mitigation procedures, the U.S. Department of Education advises and directs schools to take information from the Center for Disease Control, for our state health agencies, our local public health agencies in terms of their guidance. And that guidance all really pointed to still that we should include masks as a mitigation procedure in schools. Our staff, of course, has had the opportunity to be vaccinated. We don't know who's been vaccinated, but they've all had the opportunity to be vaccinated. Young kids don't have the opportunity to be vaccinated. If you're under 12, you don't. And even students that were vaccinated that were age 12 and up, depending upon when they got that first shot, they wouldn't have been considered fully vaccinated. So I think those are some of the reasons why we decided ultimately to continue the mask and full mitigation procedures until the end of the school year.
Rebecca, when you take a look at the year as a whole, I mean, it had to be challenging. It absolutely had to be, in many ways. And of course, you've got these type of controversies. Today on my radio show, earlier today, it was brought up that, look, if you're going to vote to censure someone because they don't agree with the policy, somebody said, and I don't know whether it's rumored or not, but they put name to it, which justifies this question, that one of the school board members, Jim Johnson, actually was smoking on school grounds, which is in adherence to the policy you have. Is it true? Do you know if it's true? And if so, will you censure him?
Well, I didn't see him, and I'm not sure at what time that person was making that reference. Jim did contact me knowing that I was going to be visiting with you today, and mentioned that he had heard that comment. He told me that he was certainly not on school property. He was either by his vehicle, which would have been parked on the street, or off school property, sidewalk, boulevard, so not officially on school district property. So I would need a little bit more information to find out exactly when that was, but that's the information that Jim has given to me.
Okay. Have our kids fallen behind? Do you see from the teachers that the kids aren't where they needed to be at this time of year?
Well, I guess that's debatable. With this whole global pandemic, everyone has been challenged. We all have. The kids too. We are where we are, considering all of the sacrifices that we've all had to make, including the children, considering we're in this global pandemic. There are certainly, I would say, some situations where we're going to need to work to try to build some gains.
Okay.
Some students might have fared better in this environment, but others certainly likely have not.
Yeah, well, that's a fair answer. And I don't know what more you could have done about it. Rebecca Knutson, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Joel. Have a great day.
You bet. When we come back, Daryl Ritchison joins us. He is one of the best meteorologists, period, I would say in the country. We'll visit with Daryl right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Well, as you heard from Cass County Electric earlier in the show, there was some tough weather that went through. And that's what happens here in the upper Midwest. Tough weather comes through. And it seems to not care what season it is, but maybe it does. Maybe it's just worse at certain times of year. I know no one better to talk to about weather than Daryl Ritchison. Daryl has been counted on TV for years, and now he's in a very special place where he can do even more. He's the director of North Dakota's Agricultural Weather Network. How many of you does that matter to? You know what? You're out there trying to make a living off that land. So let's bring Daryl in. Daryl, thank you for coming down the road with us again. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
What happened the other night? What have you heard? Because by now, with all those, with the ability that you have just through your technology and your network, there's a lot of talk about this area got 10 inches of rain, this area got 8 inches of rain. And of course, earlier we were talking about power lines down. What happened?
Well, this is our severe weather season. June is by far the rainiest month of the year in North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota, and by far by a good inch, sometimes even an inch and a quarter. And so in turn, a lot of that precipitation, of course, comes with severe weather. It does damage, but at the same time, it brings the rain that most years that we desperately need this time of year. So what we really had in a nutshell, Joel, to keep it simple, is just a lot of dry air intermixed with it. And if you think of it, when you get out of the shower in the morning, you feel cold, granted, because you got out of warm water, but you also feel cold because of evaporation. Evaporation is a cooling process. And so when we had this rain falling into some dry layers in the atmosphere, it starts to evaporate and we lose a lot of that rain in the air. And that, of course, cools the atmosphere, and cool air is heavier and more dense. And it tends to go down and kind of get these downbursting winds get associated with that. So we saw that happen in several locations and over the last couple of days in both western and eastern North Dakota. And we probably, Joel, will see it again Thursday night into Friday morning as we have another similar setup that looks to be going to go through the area and during that time frame.
I know the work that you've done through your professional life in different ways. And you know that I work with one of the top meteorologists as well that respects you immensely. And that's Too Tall Tom Szymanski. And he kept telling me, and we have a statewide audience on radio as well as this network at Beck News. But he kept telling me, Joel, these people want rain, they want rain, they want rain. You're not going to get rain without a certain level of humidity. And of course, we were dry, and the two don't always go together in terms of getting rain with a drought cycle. So, if you could speak to that, the cycle that we're in, Daryl.
I've been saying for almost 20 years that I thought we would get out of our wet cycle once we got into the 2020s. Okay, we're in the 2020s now. Granted, if you're in the Red River Valley, last year started off extremely dry and then got fairly wet July and August and then went back to dry again. Is this the start of us going back into a drier phase? The reality is we have to wait for a few years and really see if this is going to continue. But, I've always said to people, you can't depend on this excess of moisture forever. Eventually, at some point, we're going to go back into a drier phase of weather, just like we were in a wetter phase of our overall climate. And, this summer, I would still contend, I've been forecasting a dry summer. I started to forecast a dry summer last autumn, but no one really knows the future. So, it may change on us. We all know the weather kind of like a finger snap, changes in a big hurry here. But I'm wondering if this is not the beginning of a number of years that would be closer to average, if not below average rainfall as we go forward through this decade.
Well, Daryl, watch me get in trouble because I am being watched by a statewide audience. And my little corner of the world down in Richland County, while we would take rain, we haven't been that dry in comparison to other areas. Describe to people why it is. And is it just the sheer geography and how vast it is of our state? But why some areas have just been hit so hard with this drought?
It is just really a matter of sometimes one or two thunderstorms just changes the world in North Dakota. I think, we've had some wet years. So yeah, you can go back where maybe it didn't matter on X or Y year. But normally, Joel, we're always living thunderstorm to thunderstorm here. It's like some people live paycheck to paycheck. We live thunderstorm to thunderstorm. We're in a semi-arid climate, and we haven't been so semi-arid in the last 20 years, but in the last 1,000 years, most of the time, we actually are. Richland County is historically always the wettest spot in the state because it's the farthest south and the farthest east. And, this isn't an exact thing, but really almost every mile west you go into North Dakota, you lose 1/100 of an inch per mile just because of longitude. Most of our moisture comes streaming north from the Gulf of Mexico. Richland County is closer straight south to the Gulf of Mexico than, say, western North Dakota. And so that's why we're wetter and you just get more thunderstorms. But it's also our placement geographically. A lot of times thunderstorms develop over far eastern North Dakota and then move into Minnesota, and why Minnesota is noticeably wetter than North Dakota. So a lot of it is just geography, placement of thunderstorms. Thunderstorms are random. And so in turn, the simple answer is just the hit and miss nature of thunderstorms. Some areas just, in any given year, get a little bit more rain than other spots.
A lot of people count on you in the ag world because that's where you focused your energy now at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network. So, when you're a farmer and you're hearing what you said, which is becoming true, that we're going to be in a drought cycle. And if you're an industry, and I want to stress industry as well, because we've pushed tourism in my state. You look at Stump Lake. I just did a radio show from Tulna, Daryl, and their biggest fear, we fought to get an outlet in Stump Lake because Devil's Lake kept going up and Stump Lake kept going up and farmers were losing land. A lot of people up there, their biggest fear right now is the lake going down and losing the very industry and the lake lots and everything else that went with it. if you were telling the folks in that area where it's a closed basin, you know, what would you tell them, Daryl, is the best way to ask that question?
Well, you know, I was actually in Devil's Lake this morning talking to the Devil's Lake Water Board for the Devil's Lake Basin this morning, to all the commissioners on there from all the various counties just this morning, in some ways talking about this and our data, using it as a weather risk management tool. But, you know, you can fill up a lake in a night, but it does take a longer time, a duration to really lower it. So yeah, we're lower because that area last summer and so far this summer have not gotten very many rains, but it's probably more of a long-term trend. It would literally take several years like this to drop it noticeably. I know every foot matters up there, but it will take a while. But the thing is, there's still what happened in southern Stutsman County the other night. If that happens over Devil's Lake, guess what? Then they're back worrying about it being too high. It's just a very difficult situation. We live in a naturally a very extreme climate. We can go from one to the extreme to the other. But really, again, my point would be is, yeah, it's going down and it may just slowly go down. I talked this morning, you know, probably sometime in the next 200 years, the lake will go dry again. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to all happen in a year or two. It will take a slow decline if even what I'm saying comes true.
So one last question, Daryl. Stutsman County, when we talk about 8-inch rains and some saying 10-inch rains, I mean, how often has that happened? I mean, you keep track, you keep record. It seems to me in my lifetime, I haven't heard of a lot of 10-inch rains.
Well, the highest official reading I really heard was 7 from a really reliable rain gauge. But, you know, it's still 6, 7. It's a crazy amount of rain either way, you know, and if maybe some spot without a good rain gauge may have gotten to 10 inches. But it happens. It's just now with our world so interconnected, we hear about all these events. I go back and I can find these events through the last 120 years. They just didn't make the publicity of this one. And on a positive note, you know, it was a pretty isolated, small little area. Most of the area got more 2 to 4, which most summers would be bad. This summer ended up being a good thing. But no doubt, you know, some areas got way too much of a good thing.
Yeah. Daryl, thank you. When we call, you always answer. I appreciate it. And I'm sure we're going to do this some more this year. So thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Daryl Ritchison, ladies and gentlemen. You know, check out his work. Do the Google. What you're going to find is it's information you're going to want. When we come back, some closing comments right here as we finish our trek down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc. Yeah.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private.
Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Earlier in the show, Rebecca Knutson, president of the Fargo School Board, explained to us what censure is and how they censured, again, Jennifer Benson of the Fargo School Board for her actions where she showed that she has the power. No one can make her wear a mask when the policy of the school itself is to wear a mask. They were right to censure her, and that's probably as bad and as worse as what they can do. But it really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. I suppose it's something that the people that are going to run against her someday can use against her someday. But don't kid yourself. Jennifer Benson has friends out there in the community based upon her attitude when it comes to wearing masks. Now, whether or not they're the majority, whether or not that maverick and cavalier attitude will get her elected again, I don't know. And I hope we find out. I hope she runs again. I do. I know this. I know that when you're on a board that creates policy and you lose in a debate about that policy, when you're done, you lost. You lost. You have to adhere to that policy, or else the work that you do win on doesn't mean diddly to me. There have to be policies that Jennifer Benson won on. So if the ones she won on are the only ones that matter, then do I have to adhere to them? That's a fair question. That's a real fair question. Every now and then you lose, and you have to accept it. If somebody has the number of Mar-Lago, please call down there and tell him as well. Good riding with you, folks. I'll see you back on Monday.